Hello everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome broadcast today. Today is Thursday officially. The week is on the downhill slide towards the weekend. I want to welcome everyone. We were listening to a little bit of music before we got started. Today we have a first-time guest. It's our Virgin broadcast specialist is going to be here in a little bit. We're very excited to have him here. It's quite exciting, right? We're all hoping he doesn't choke on live TV. But he's one of you. It's Jake Scheele will be here doing some really awesome demo stuff. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing, but Margaret, one of my broadcast engineers, kind of actually probably executive producer of this broadcast. She knows what he's doing. So Margaret, are you there? Are you?
Yes, I'm right here.
All right. So he's doing awesome stuff. Is that what he's doing today?
He's doing indeed very awesome stuff. He is discussing a dynamic sort order add-on. It's essentially an add-on that allows for it's in the title, dynamic sort order. It's heavily inspired by Nick, as far as I'm aware, using Nick's sort method and with, of course, Jake's own unique spin on it. So he'll be showing us this awesome solution today, and I'm very excited to see it. Well, solution add-on, add-on.
Right, exactly.
Basically, how to add it to your stuff and,
Right. Well, we're not going to go through the process of building add-ons, so that's a different conversation. But yes. Yeah. So the upcoming broadcast schedule looks like this. It looks like today is Jake. Tomorrow is PSOS for beginners. Definitely tomorrow is a beginner day, or someone if you haven't done a lot of scripting where you tell your server to do the script for you. There's kind of a beginning part of this. There's a more advanced part of this. Nick has kind of beat the advanced part to death over the last since probably February. And so I'm not going to be doing the advanced stuff. We're going to be doing the basics of it, right? And so if you're brand new to the world of FileMaker or kind of brand new and you haven't been doing a lot of PSOS and the things to consider about PSOS, what we're going to do is we're going to pop open starting point and look at what we did in there and how that plays a little bit with PSOS, right? And what the considerations that we did for that. So that'll be fun. That'll be tomorrow, Friday. Next week, Nick will be back, day 3 and 4 of the FM Gallery, basically Lite. FM Gallery Lite is the version of the product. And that is a free product. Hopefully the website comes on here pretty soon. We can always check in with Haley to see if she's got that turned on. But the website should allow you to download the free light version. There is a professional version that's coming. People that have previously bought FM Gallery will get the pro version for free. And of course, everyone else can have the light one. There's no charge for that. Once again, that website going live hopefully soon. I'll let everyone know as soon as that happens. And then, of course, Wednesday next week, we're going to be archiving records with Calvin Moseman. That'll be interesting. Interesting conversation about what to do when you have too many records and you really don't need them in the current table, but you don't want to just delete them, right? I mean, if you have too many records, you don't want them, just delete them. Screw it. Screw those records. They're out of here, right? But the road to hell, one of the ways the road to hell in the world of FileMaker is just deleting things, right? So might not want to do that. And if so, what are your options for not doing it? And then we have Thursday, 360 Works next week, kind of a week from today. I think Jesse Barnum, but certainly Joe Martin will be there, and they'll be talking about the updates they've done. As well as hopefully we'll be getting close. I'm hoping on the 19.3.2 bug fix release from Claris. Once again, they're running on this more agile development method. Hopefully they've figured out how to patch the issue with 19.3. Once again, I've not received any official communication from them at all on that whatsoever. And so it should be interesting to see what happens. So yes, maybe I could check in on that. There was I can check back with Claris on that, but as soon as I have any information to share with you, I will do that. But there are some serious issues with 19.3.1, just bugs, and it's mostly on the Windows side, and I think a handful of bugs in FileMaker Go too. So that's kind of a trick. So yeah, very cool. All right, so one last thing. So reminder, you go to fmtrain.tv up here, the live tab right here. And then of course, if you're looking for our training bundles, which is how you support what we're doing, you go to the bundles button right here. And you can actually purchase one of our training bundles. These training bundles are about 90 plus hours of dedicated content. In fact, we're going through and looking at the content to make sure it's relevant to 19.3. A couple little videos will probably be updated, but pretty much the content is current. It's good to go. So if you want to support the channel, you want to keep a subscription going, renewal, really appreciate that, because that's how we can provide all the other free things that we do because people buy that training, which is great. Also, if you need coaching help, I tried to make a big thing, but we have a bunch of FileMaker coaches, and a couple of them said, hey, we could use some more coaching customers, right? So if you're interested in getting some half-off FileMaker coaching and you're kind of a beginning to intermediate developer and you want some assistance, then email support at RC Consulting, email support at RC Consulting, right? So that's the coaching program. So I'm going to flip over to Jake if I can do that. Let me see if I can find Jake. There is, okay, well, that's the screen. Jake, you need to show your face, my friend. Otherwise, no one can see your smiling face.
Looks like I'm up in the corner there.
Yeah, you're up in the corner, and now you're there. So this is Jake. So, Jake, what do you do, and what do you do during your day job when you're not doing live streaming? What are you, and what do you do?
Yeah, so we're a startup company based in the Twin Cities, and we build custom software solutions using FileMaker. We've got a handful of companies in the area that are using files that we've built for their everyday businesses. And we're right now looking at getting into the vertical market, working on building some vertical market solutions for FileMaker. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Which is really interesting. Vertical market solutions, either, and you said you're doing construction kind of focused ones, kind of loosely?
Right now, yes.
Yeah, and which makes perfect sense because you have a background in that. We've talked a lot about doing vertical market apps, and you have to have kind of an in with this crowd, whatever crowd you're targeting. Like if you're a dentist or a veterinarian, or maybe you're a loan shark and you're going to do software for loan sharking, then you have to have an in to that kind of underworld a little bit, right? And you have to have people that are going to test for you. They can, you have a positive reputation, hopefully. And so, Jake, you already have kind of an in the construction business, right? A little bit.
Right. My parents were in the construction industry for about 40 years, give or take. They owned construction businesses all around the country, and
yeah, so they know. So your organization knows that business. So that makes sense, right? When someone comes to me out of the blue and says, I want to open a drone company, and they don't know anything about flying, aviation, or anything else, I always get concerned about that. So it's better to have a kind of an inside track on stuff. So we talked about this in the last week or two, but yeah, it can be very lucrative if you hit it right, you do it right. It's just one of those things. It's kind of a very small business, very kind of startup risky kind of thing. But yeah, if you can get some customers going and they're happy with your product and you provide great support, then yeah, you can make it. You can actually make good money making vertical market apps. So, all right. So why don't we? So what are you doing today? What are you doing? Okay, so this is what I always ask everyone, right? What are you doing, and why should I care?
Sure. So I was heavily inspired by a live stream that you guys put on this past January. Nick has a custom sort on portal video that he did that showed a really cool method of making custom sorts, and it had actually got a little screenshot of it I can show in a minute here, but I was really inspired by that, and I wanted to make a quick and easy way to add that to any layout or portal that I'm on without taking too much time and without too heavy scripting. Yeah, that's really my inspiration for it. And I got it so it does use some advanced technologies, like it's got a virtual list and uses some JSON, but you don't need to know any of those things to use this or to implement it. I have Megan using it all the time in our custom solutions, and she can set it up in less than 5 minutes on a new.
You said JSON, and Kyle Williams immediately got aroused, and so we're going to have to squirt cold water on him. So, yeah, why don't you go and show your screen and walk us through what you got going. FileMaker Dynamic Sort. So what the hell is
so this is the demo file that you guys are going to be getting today, and it's an installer. So it lets you install the add-on. And for those of you without FileMaker 19, if you're still running 18 or older, this does have all of the scripts and custom functions you would need to copy over if you weren't installing this as an add-on. But we can go ahead and take a look at the demo. This is a really brief demo. I just made a few example records here. So we're looking at a list, and then we can go ahead and sort this list. And that's going to pull up a virtual list where it's got values that are passed to it. And then we can, choose a value, and we can toggle ascending or descending, and then go ahead and hit done. And it's going to sort those records by whichever value we selected. It also works in portals. So we can click on one of these guys and do a go to related. It'll open up a form view layout. and we've got a portal of notes, and we can sort the portal of notes. The same virtual list pops up, but it's showing different values, and since different values were passed to it. So we can toggle, let's say, make the date descending, and then that updated the portal there. So that's a really basic demo. I did have a little bit prettier of a demo I wanted to show you guys. So I've actually got this connected to my phone over here. So we can open up a customer solution I'm working on right now. And then, so this is live from my iPhone. Go to their list of products. And then we're going to open up that same virtual list. And we've got the different values we can sort by there. So we can say do the unit price, sort that, we can toggle it. And whatever different values we sort by, it's going to sort it accordingly. So
that is pretty sexy.
For the title.
Now I'm aroused. Now I'm aroused. This is nice. This is very sexy. I like this. Wow. Well, you know, so is it so demo once more on Pro on the left. So demoed on Pro. So what do we do? We just kind of, what do? We say sort. And that one's not.
There's nothing in the company.
Yeah, that's not nearly as sexy. I mean, we have to sexify that a little bit. And then on the right.
No, I agree completely. When I went for the demo, I figured that when add-ons get added to a file, I always have to tear apart the UI and the buttons and make them look like they match my file anyway. So I honestly didn't put too terribly much time into making the demo look super pretty.
But on Go, it's stunning. On Go, it's stunning.
Oh, it's gorgeous on Go.
Okay,
yeah,
so how do you do it again?
Put a lot of time into that.
How do you activate it again? You press the.
Click the sort button.
Hang on, I gotta move your. Hang on, I gotta move to. Okay, do it more. So you hit what? You hit this? Is that what you do?
Yep, here I can do that on my phone here.
Okay. And then it pops. See, the problem was I had my Slack thing covering over you, and I couldn't.
Oh, sure.
Okay, the only problem that you've got is you press this button here, but then it shoots up from down here, right? So I'm just telling you, I'm only picking on you because if Steve Jobs are here, he goes, "This doesn't make any sense. If you press the button here, it should slide down from here, right?" So.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Right, because it's like look left. It's like a thing the Thunderbirds do, the jets. They fly by really slow on the right, or a Blue Angel, I can't remember who does it. And they're at really low power, come by at about 150, 200 knots. And then one of their guys that no one can hear is right about 0.9 on the Mach meter, just tears across the crowd, and everyone snaps their necks and gets a neck craning. So you look one way, and then it snaps the other way to fake you out. So that's the only thing I would say that's obviously kind of funky. But could you? I
think my initial thought was it was mimicking the keyboard, how the keyboard pops up there from the bottom.
Well, it definitely does that. So is that a slide?
Yeah.
Is that a slide control, or what is that? Is that a?
This is a card window.
Card window, but it's animated because we're in Go, and Go animates.
Well, and I did have to do a little finagling to do that because the new window script step doesn't have animation. So I actually have to go to I open up a new window using a blank layout, and then I go to layout using animation. And I do the same thing when I leave the layout. I actually go to blank layout, slide out using the animation, and then close the window.
Oh.
And I do the same thing for these when you click on that.
So wait. If you say pop a card, if you say go to window, pop a card, the animation's not there?
Yeah, we can look at the script.
Yeah, look at the script. That's an interesting script because when you go to layout, you should have an animation control object.
So I do new window.
Okay.
The new window script step doesn't have any sort of animation option.
Right.
So I have to do new window, and it goes to the window. The layout that I go to is blank iPhone, which is just a solid. This is a dark mode theme app. Usually it's white, but it's a solid black layout.
Okay.
And then I pause the script for 0.1 seconds, and then I go to layout, slide it with animation.
But normally you would assume that it's a blank layout. It would lay it over the top, and you wouldn't see the other stuff. But it doesn't do it. Okay, Kyle, you've received the hack award for the day because it's that's interesting. Because you have the height.
And then I do the same thing for close.
Wow.
So I pass animation parameter. So then it goes to the blank layout to left or to bottom, depending on which parameter.
Yeah, Kyle was thinking I was
pause, close.
That's what I was thinking of, Kyle. Kyle's having the same thing. Kyle said what I was thinking. I couldn't figure out why. I haven't done this in like over a year. But Kyle goes, yeah, I usually use a slide control for the animation. I haven't really thought about using a new Windows script step for that. Yeah. Normally we do it with a slide. A slide would come in from a direction, right?
Right.
And the one slide would be invisible, right? And then it would kind of like bring itself in. Normally they come in from the left, but I guess you come in from the right. Interesting.
And here, looks like we have a great question from Ed. I was actually planning on getting to this at some point. A little bit of a frustrating question because of the answer. Can you only sort on one of the selections in the virtual list? On this demo, yes, you can only sort on one of the selections. The first time I built this, I was actually going for multiple, and I got it working on the virtual list part where I could select multiple values. They would be ascending or descending. They had an order. So I had little numbers. It would say like 1 ascending, 2 descending, and you can reorder them. But to get it to actually perform the sort accurately was pretty tricky. I actually had a coaching session with Christian about it, and we were trying to figure it out for a bit, and we couldn't figure it out. But it's something that's on my to-do list to, keep slamming my head against the desk trying to figure it out. And I'll definitely be sharing my progress that I got with it to see if maybe someone out there has the answer.
So this is the sample here. This is not the sample over here, because this is the super. This is a
live clients file that I have that uses the exact same. Well, it's not live yet. That this is a rebuild, but it's a sample of. It's one that I got. It uses the exact same add-on. I just made it look prettier over here.
Yeah.
Same scripts.
Yeah.
Same stuff in the background, making it work.
It's just way more beautiful and arousing, I will say. And then, of course, Moki gives me that. So, yeah.
Well, and of course, with Pro, it doesn't get any of that animation.
Right.
I'm glad I was able to figure out QuickTime to I have my iPhone plugged into my Mac, and it's just beaming the screen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of, and just so everyone knows, the Claris was trying to put the animations into the layouts across the product line in Pro, and they ran into some issues or whatever, and decided not to do it. But yeah, welcome to the world of world of animations and kind of incomplete feature sets. Okay, so Kyle's off in a.
Do we want to look at installing this?
Yeah,
I think we kind of see.
You definitely need to do that.
See how to do it.
Yeah, you definitely need to do it. I'm just looking at the comments here on the left side, so that's good. Yeah, please do.
So let's actually close this out. I'm going to do create new. We're going to go from scratch. We do the starter contact solution that just comes with FileMaker. And then let's just create a couple. Okay, cool. So we've got a couple starter records. And then we're going to go back to the list. And then let's just go ahead and install it. That's step 1, and install this add-on. Go down to records, dynamic sort. Awesome. Now let's drag this in. And there we go. So that added the button on there. And then when you install it, it's going to add a couple tables. I know with add-ons, you can bring fields into a table, but I'm not that good with add-ons yet. So we have to copy some fields. Is going to be step 1. So there are all these sort keys. And we're going to need to copy all of the sort keys. I believe there are 14 of them or 16. And then 2 global sorts, and then the 1 JSON field. So we're going to copy all those, and then go into contacts, since that's the table that we're trying to sort, and paste them. And the only thing that needs changed out of all of these is just the JSON. So we're going to uncomment that out. And actually, real quick, before I edit that, I am going to create a new field here. I'm just going to make a balance so we can demonstrate a number field. So the sort options, we're going to uncomment that out. And this is where you set the values that you want to sort by. So let's start with the label. So we'll say sort contacts. And then this one happens to be easy enough since these are all the different fields that I want. So we're going to swap out these fields. First name, last name, and company and balance already match. So, and then you might notice we have a type. That is the only one that is optional, and it's only for currency. So if we have a number field and it is for a dollar amount, this will add, the dollar sign and 2 decimals to those. So let's go ahead and hit OK. Save that. And then we're going to go into the scripts. We've got this scripts folder that got added when we added the add-on. And there's a folder of sort subscripts. We're just going to duplicate that. And then this script has a naming convention, and it's just the word sort and space, and then the table name. And then we're going to change this out. We're going to clear off these sorts, and then we need to grab all of the sort keys, 8 of them. Good old alphabet splits them up, of course, but all right. And then we're going to make the descending ones descending. Hit OK and save our script. Close that out. And then it's almost going to be working here. We just need to change now this button that got brought over. So we're going to start with the calculation that's on there. All we need to pass in there is the G-sort field. For lists, this should actually work. As long as it's named G_sort, should grab that field from the current table. So that part should be good. Let's go into the hide condition. Just going to swap that out with the G-sort field.
Okay.
And then same thing over here.
Christian, are you there?
I'm here.
Are you there?
Hey, Christian.
Hey,
how are we doing?
Would you like to add this to Wolfpack?
I've been actually excited to see this stream because Jake sent me this, and it's going to get added to Wolfpack. And yes, we can get the video links put in there, probably in the not too distant future.
Okay. Yeah. So, so there's a couple steps here that you need to follow to do this. Is it ready now, Jake?
It is. I believe that was the last step. And one thing worth mentioning is when I built this, I built it with iPhone layouts in mind. So it looks best on the iPhone. It does need a little bit of finagling with that new Windows script step to make it look perfect on desktop. But here's what we got. There we go. So we can sort by first name.
So that's a
JMT.
So that's a card. That's a card. Okay.
That's a card. Yep.
Okay.
One funky thing when you install the add-on that I'm not sure why it does this, just a bug. We've got our virtual list card. It duplicates this object and it duplicates them over here for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I can email you. I know to fix it.
Cool. We'll get that cleaned up before it gets thrown in the Wolfpack then.
Very cool. Very cool. Christian,
yeah.
Do you have any comments about this? I mean, it's we're only 30 minutes into the broadcast, and
I've still got some other cool features.
Do you have some stuff
I
that
can
you
show
show
you? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
There's a question. Moki says, I wonder if there's a way to make the add-on do all this stuff automatically, or else Jake has a config doc with all the steps laid out. Yeah, I mean,
I think it can put the fields in. I just don't know how. I mean, you would think when you drag it onto this layout, it can create all those fields in whatever table the layout's based off of.
Yeah. So, well, the reality is we will include this video with it, and so you can have that. If Jake provides, once again, I don't get into micromanaging all the submissions into the Wolfpack. Christian kind of loosely keeps an eye on that, but if people provide documentation there a little bit in there, that's fine, because once again, the price of the Wolfpack is kind of dictates how this works a little bit. So yeah,
I do have
reasonably priced.
Yeah, a step-by-step for the Wolfpack put together too. That's gonna go. That goes through. I have this off to the side. I've been looking at it, making sure I don't.
Oh, you cheating weasel! You're using instructions.
I'm prepared. I'm not cheating. I'm using my resources.
Prepared. Oh my God, he's like you, Christian. He's like he's all set, ready to go. I like this. Very impressive. Kyle says it's better to use individual buttons when creating add-ons. I've had the same problem with button bars. Sometimes
that makes sense.
Okay, I'll kind of jump in for a second. You don't need to use individual buttons. This is silly, but what you have to do is group the button bar and then group it in the payload. It's a weird bug, but button bars, when they get dragged on, it'll make the button bar, and each segment turns into an individual button.
It's not even in the payload. It's another layout.
It's in another layout. Yeah, so when you have weird issues like that, the first step to do is to group those objects.
Yeah.
And usually it will fix it. Calvin had one that wasn't fixing it. But I was going to email you if that's the trick.
Cool. I'll have to give that a shot. Well, I do have some other cool tricks I wanted to show that are included in this. So let's see. Let's hop in there. I know I wanted to use that balance field a little bit. So let's just hop in and make a balance field quick so that we can edit it. Make that smaller. Get myself a little room here. All right. I think this looked a little more iPhone-like here. So let's give these guys a balance. Awesome. So now if I sort by balance, it's going to sort by that right corresponding balance. And now let's say the company field and the balance weren't on the layout though. We didn't have those. And they're hanging out to this, or we just don't have them on the layout, on the list view. I did make a custom function, so I can throw that in there. And it's going to be sort display value. And we just pass in the sort field. And then do a little bit of formatting on it. Oh, this always trips me up. It's the field name. So there we go. So whatever you're sorting by is going to show up in that display value. So if I change it from the balance to the last name, now the last name is going to show up there. If I change it to the first name is going to show up there. Now I'll usually put a hide. So if I am sorting by something that is already on the list, I don't want it to show up twice. So you can just do get value of your gsort. Value 1 is the field name. Hide if it equals get field name first name. And we can do or if it equals last name. So now if I sort by either the first or the last name, I don't need that value showing up there twice. But if I sort by anything else, there it is. And then the sorted by balance that shows up on here, or the unsorted, that's another custom function. I'll sometimes have that show up, like if I pull this back over. I didn't put that in the button bar. I put it down here by its own. So you can just do whatever you want with that. It's just a header sort custom function. Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to show is doing all of this, but on a portal. It's really similar. So let's go. This is going to be kind of a silly thing to sort by. We're going to look at phone numbers. So let's just go throw a couple phone numbers in there.
If you folks have questions along the way, everyone except Megan, you can write up the questions and ask the questions.
All right, we got a couple phone numbers in here. Now let's add this to the phone numbers. So we'll drag that back over. And now, of course, the first step is copying over our fields. So we're going to take all of our sort keys and the sort options, copy over to phone numbers, paste. And you'll know if you missed one usually. Well, at least if you missed the G's. If you missed any of the globals, none of these will work. So let's go ahead and edit these. Or at least you'll see them being commented out. You'll see the little /* at the beginning. And then change that label to sort phone numbers. And then we're going to sort by the number. And we're going to sort by the type. And then just get rid of these extra ones here, and we'll change the label that shows up. So we've got phone number and type. Awesome. So that is set up. Now, instead of the script, we're going to go back into Manage Database. I'm actually going to go to the relationship. So I'm going to find the relationship that this portal is based off of. So that's going to be contacts to phone numbers. I'm going to go into that relationship and sort records. So now instead of grabbing the regular sort keys, we'll grab the related sort keys. Change all those descending ones to descending. Awesome. And then all that should be left is the button. So we'll look at the hide condition. Pass in phone numbers, gsort related. And that's just the gsort related from the same table occurrence that the portal is based off of.
Okay.
Do the same thing over here. And then same thing, the gsort related. I'll just copy this one. These two segments are the exact same. The only difference is that they have a different icon for ascending and descending. And then we're going to look at the parameter just for a second on the open sort. So this is the script that opens up that card. We do have some comments and some examples for what the script parameter should look like. So the parameter has 3 values. The first is the table occurrence of the records to be sorted. So that'll be the table occurrence for this portal. Or if it's a list, it's just get layout table name. The portal name to be refreshed. So that's going to be the name of this portal. We're going to have to give that portal a name. And then you have to pass false for list. You have to pass something. And then the third is a JSON object. And that JSON object, we've got it here in an example. That is the same thing that's coming from that calculation field, the Z sort options. So that's where it gets these values from. But it doesn't have to get the values from there. I'll show an example of that in a little bit. So
can I ask a quick question, Jake?
You sure can.
So I noticed in your parameter, you're passing both a list and then the last part of the list is a JSON array. Since you're using an array as your parameter, why didn't you just use an array for all the parameters versus sticking to the list? Was there a reason for that?
I modified it after I already made the JSON.
Okay, that's fair.
Basically. It definitely can be put into the JSON. but it allows a little bit more flexibility too. And I'll show that in a little bit, because right now we're passing the JSON from a field. You don't have to pass the JSON from the field. We could just build the JSON right here. So let's say I've got a list of phone numbers somewhere, and I want to sort those phone numbers by contact. That makes sense. But if I'm looking at a contact, looking at a portal of phone numbers, I don't need to sort by contact. I'm only looking at one contact. So you can take that calculation that's in managed database, copy it, and then just paste it into here. And I'll show an example of it in a minute, because it's really cool how you can have custom sort values on the same portal, or at least the same records that you're looking at, different places, and have different sorts on it.
Very cool.
But here, let's change this script parameter. So we're going to do, I think I did table occurrence, get field name, and then we're just going to grab a field. I usually do the primary key. And then the name of the portal, we'll just call it phone numbers portal. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy that to my clipboard. And then we're going to pass in the Z sort options. Then I'm going to copy that whole thing and just paste it. It's the same parameter that's going to be on here. And then I'm going to put that on my clipboard as well. Or sorry, I'm going to paste that. So we've got that named. And then I think the only thing that's left, nope, we already did that. That should be everything. Let's go ahead and test it out. Sort by phone number, 248. Make it descending, 842. Sort by type, HMW, descending, WMH. There we go.
Hey, Christian. So for people who are like more beginner level FileMaker people, why do we want to use this at all? If we're going to make the case for brand new people, why would we use this at all? As opposed to just like, here's a button with a sort, it sorts, right? You know, set the sort filter. You have to set this. Well, portal's a little trickier in general, but like on the list view. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, list view could be trickier necessarily to make the argument. I mean, I would almost turn to Jake and ask him to answer it. I would imagine it's the portability of this and the fact that you've got one set of scripts with configurations versus a whole ton of scripts.
Well, so my only concern is that Jake's like pretty talented here, and he's ripping this faster than I can keep up, right? And I guarantee, like Larry and some other people are just like their brains have checked out. So, because they can't absorb the data this fast, and so it makes you wonder if Jake is struggling this much this fast to build this, what are we overcoming, right? What problem? Whenever we do something in the world of technology, we're probably going to overcome some sort of issue, right? And so I'm trying to understand what we're trying to overcome in terms of the issue.
Well, one thing, and I want Jake to have the opportunity to answer it, but this actually reminds me of a conversation we had in Taco this morning, where I was mentioning to the staff that when you first start, and sorting would actually be a great example of this, you have all these different list views, and so you have these sort scripts, and basically you have a sort script or a master one for every single layout. And I don't know necessarily with a sort specifically what might happen, but as time goes on, you might decide, oh, I need to change this one thing. And now you have, X number of scripts that you have to go find and make the changes to. But when you consolidate things into a single location, it's much easier to push and update at the cost of making it more difficult to understand. So Andy, for example, one of our newest engineers who's very sharp is working under Calvin, who many of you have seen present. And Andy said to me, it's hard with some of these modular things that Calvin makes to understand how they're working, kind of like what Jake is showing here. But Calvin and I would very well make the argument, yeah, but this is how we are able to build things that we can dump into files very easily and also push updates, across a file or quickly to other files. But Jake, why don't you answer that? And you actually came to me in a coaching session with this exact query What problem came up to you that this was solving for you?
For me, I've had this huge problem overall of just sorting and filtering records in a way that's repeatable, that because I found myself, making a value list, having it open up a pop-up menu with that value list, and then having a trigger on that I would have a script for every single table that I have that would handle all the different options that you picked in that value list and what to sort by. And that was a lot of scripting. And when I find myself writing a lot of scripts that look very similar, I think to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the only problem is and once again, I'm not complaining, Jake, and I'm not calling into question any of this. I'm trying to get, part of what you guys have to do as developers is be able to justify what you're doing, why you're doing it this way. And I watched Jake drag this in here, especially on the portal, and he flipped through about 80 screens at high speed, way beyond the speed that I normally operate at. And so you're making the case that, oh, well, I had a bunch of scripts. Yeah, but you just did a bunch of finagling and hacking and stuff to put this in. So it wasn't like a low cost. Maybe for you it's low cost, but for a lot of people here, they're struggling to understand the steps that you went through. They're going to play back your video.
Yeah, it's definitely got some.
But you're like flip, and I want to stop about 100 times, and you keep going, and it's like watching Kyle go, and it's like, okay, you have to. I think you have to be at a point in your development where you can absorb and you're ready to absorb and learn this. Not everyone will be ready to absorb and learn this, right?
I want to say that this is something that everyone needs to run out and use themselves to start off with. I think that there's a couple criteria. One, when you do something like this, like what Calvin and I build with a lot of our add-ons, the upfront cost, if you will, is high. It's more complicated, it's more difficult. But the long-term maintenance of it, especially if you understand how they work, is a lot easier to make future changes.
So we're seeing the high upfront cost here is what we're
saying.
The
high upfront, because it's easy to build one single sort script.
Yeah,
but
that's what I can hear Larry going, why would I do this? I did one script, I'd be done already. I could be.
But I'm guessing too that he has I'll use an example. When I build my list views, the icon or the way that I indicate which value is being sorted by, and if it's ascending or descending, how I have done that over time has changed. And when I decide that I'm going to do it a new way that I like better, like when I've taken something for Nick or whatnot, I don't go to old files and in any way try to update them, because the number of locations that I would have to go and make that change is just too high. But with this, if you decide later on that you want to have some sort of change like that, the ability to do it is more open. But one of the things too then you have to consider is, is Larry, for example, I'm going to use him. Is he working on one database or lots of databases?
And I'm not picking on Larry. I'm just
is Larry or anybody else out there, what exactly are you doing with FileMaker? So Jake, you like to build vertical market solutions, and you have customers similar to myself. So Calvin, myself, Jake, Kyle, we might be working on a variety of databases, and so making things that are modular with the high upfront costs to us might pay off in the ability to dump those into solutions and make something work, especially if we know how to make it work quick. But if you're working on a single database and this is over your head and you don't understand what's going in there, you might be fine using the single steps. But more and more, like Jake said it very similarly there, if I'm writing multiple scripts that very much do the same thing, I try to figure out if there isn't a way to solve it and consolidate them. But
yeah, sometimes I'll spend like 40 hours trying to save two, but
well, and it's, once again, I'm not saying good or bad or otherwise. I'm just saying what I asked.
2 hours a week, maybe.
Yeah. What I'm asking is that when you present a technique, you should be, whoever it is, Kyle, and I've run Kyle's out here on this live stream before, make him justify why we're doing it this way. Some people do, and I'm not in any way saying this is the case here, but I'm saying some people make complex just because they're high intellect, high brilliant people, and they're easily bored. Steve Allen's one of my engineers. He's very much like that. Given the opportunity of simple versus complex, he'll make it complex because that way he's intellectually stimulated. It doesn't mean it's the best solution. It's just the one that he wants to play with that day. Same thing goes with people new to FileMaker platform. They realize they have a whole color palette with millions of colors, and they're definitely intent on using half the colors in the color palette on layout at one time. And so I'm just trying to make sure that that as people present here, Kyle will present next week, et cetera, that they are prepared to make the justification of why we're doing this, right? So,
and I think you're spot on there. I have definitely done things in the past that I thought were really nifty and cool, but was overcomplicated, and it had the high upfront cost, but it also had high maintenance costs. So, you got to make sure that you're getting a trade-off somewhere there. One of the things, and I mean, I've had the opportunity of working closely with Jake. If you look at Jake's scripts, you'll see that though they're complicated, if you're able to follow the flow, he's got good documentation. They're written in a way that if you can follow it is good to go. But if you're lost in it and you've got a single database, it might not necessarily be the right tool for you. It's definitely something I'm looking at borrowing here at some point. I'm bemoaned that I was late today.
Yeah, well, that's not a problem. I just want Jake to be able to make the case. And so Larry says he's following along. So maybe picking on Larry is unfortunate, but yeah, you get the idea. There are people out there with varying levels of skill sets, and clearly Jake is in the senior end of the food pile, kind of like with Kyle and stuff, and he has very great technical chops. I just need to make sure that as we come in here, and it's something I'm trying to teach Margaret to do, is we have people come and present. They just don't present because they find they're giving me something that's entertaining. It actually has measurable value down the road. What is the value? What is the ROI? If we invest all this flashing that Jake was doing, what is the return on investment in a month or 2 months or 6 months or next week, right? So you have to be able to do that in business, or you really shouldn't be in business. You should work for the government. Then you don't have to justify how good or bad or expensive it is. It just is. So Jake, I think this is great. Do we have other questions on this, or is there anything that you want to show additionally?
Yeah, I've got like one closing thing. Just one last thing I wanted to show. I brought up earlier. So I went in under the phone numbers. I went in under manage database. So I added an extra option. If we go down to phone numbers, I added contact. So now it's got that third option for contact name there. So whenever we open up the sort for phone numbers, it's going to have contact as a third option. Now, right now we're looking at Tom Smith. Obviously, all of these phone numbers are Tom Smith's phone number. So we want to customize the sort just for this instance of this portal. So what we're going to do is go in here, and I'm just going to start with a let statement. I'm going to use a little trick that Christian taught me, getting a quick let statement in. So we're going to say let JSON equal that. And I just copied that from manage database. So that's all the different fields that are usually in manage database. But we're going to get rid of this contact option because we don't want it on this one. And then we can do, we're going to do portal. Copy that, paste that. And we'll do TO for table occurrence and paste that. And then our result, we can just put the list right there. And then we'll do TO portal JSON. And there we go. So now it only has the options that we specify up here. And maybe we want to change the label. So, so sort phone number for contact, or whatever we wanted to put there. And oh, yep. Have to add that on there. There we go. Perfect. And I probably should have copied that because we're going to want to put it on both segments. So then when we go into browse mode, now it only has those two values. It doesn't have that contact value anymore. And say we wanted to add another value that only shows up on this portal. It's totally customizable for every single instance of you having that button on there that runs that sort script. Yeah, did I go through that one too quick, Richard?
Well,
trying to get better about slowing her down.
here's the rub. It's kind of a tricky thing we have with the live stream, and I'll turn my camera back on here briefly a little bit. So the trick with the live stream is that we have people who are beginning, who've never seen FileMaker before. It's their first day. It's like they just dropped them on Mars with an air pack, and they don't know. And then we have legitimate beginners. Then we have people who probably think they're senior engineers, but they're really intermediates. I know about some of those. And then I got people who are like legit senior level people, like Kyle and Christian and yourself, etc. And so it's a little bit like I worry about being an echo chamber when Kyle is going or you're going a little bit, and you guys are just ripping stuff off, and the people who are trying to learn from you are going and they're hyperventilating, and then they fall over dead, right? So that's kind of what I worry about a little bit. And so I just try to slow you down, and I want to make sure that we make the case for why we're doing this, right? So Ken says, I think I could use this add-on to add the sort with the steps outlined, but I'm not sure I would be able to troubleshoot or edit it, right? See, therein lies the rub, right? So if it saves you maintenance down the road, except that no one can do the maintenance except for Kyle or Jake or Christian or something, then you've kind of painted yourself into the corner, right? We talk about that kind of analogy, right? And then
and I was thinking about going in further and about behind the scenes on how it works, but that would end up being too long. I don't have time to explain virtual lists and JSON and all that good stuff.
This is kind of an interesting technique because it's an amalgamation. It's a combination of a lot of different things. Just learning virtual lists is itself is kind of.
I do need to mention though, all of the techniques I learned from watching these live streams. I didn't know virtual lists. I didn't know the sort technique from Nick. This wouldn't have been possible without you guys.
I think if I was going to present it again, I would say this is objective and this is why we're going to do it. And we're going to drag and drop it, and then there's these steps, right? So one of the things that I would do is while we're actually, you had the steps on the side hiding, we need to probably see those. I think we would watch those.
Yep, and that's going to be included when this gets sent out with the wolf pack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got all these different steps.
Watching the steps, because these are really seeing the steps. I think the steps is great. So, and this is part of the wolf pack, the steps thing, Christian, with you. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, here's the wolf pack. This is just on my computer, of course. But yeah, I sent, I exported it out and sent it off to you guys. So I'm sure when Christian gets the next version of Wolfpack, he'll be throwing it in there.
Yeah, whenever Christian gets bored and decides he wants to do it. So Tawas says, great discussion. Timothy says, I agree, great discussion. Tawas says, Jake is a very smart operator, pro code. Yeah, so this is such a funny conversation because FileMaker is really this low-code tool, and then you take it further and you start doing, this is definitely pro code, definitely pro-level code. So whether it's JSON or using external APIs or whatever, clearly this is not the basic low-code kind of capabilities of the platform. And so Jake is representing it very well. And his deployment over here, once again, I'm gonna have you demo that. This is stunningly beautiful. Let me go full screen on this again so you guys can see this. I don't know if Christian saw this. So you go run through this over here. I'm gonna check it out. So if
I think I can. There we go.
Oh yeah. So you got your quick
time. I'm trying to get that out of here. There we go. Put that over there.
So watch how this works. This is like, look how nice that is. It comes up from the bottom. I think people get past that, but you could also put the sort button on the bottom, right? And then it would spawn up and down.
Yeah, you
could.
Bottom.
Yeah, see that.
And then I did need to put a bottom navigation here, even though there's nothing in it. It's just 5 pixels tall. Otherwise, you can still see the records down here in this little gray space.
Oh, really?
They still show up. So I had to put a bottom navigation there, but that wasn't a big deal. I think it looks better with that bottom navigation anyway, with that little rounded.
I mean, this is an incredibly sexy layout. I think it's stunningly beautiful. And so it's a practical application of what he's been showing.
I could blow your mind real quick if you got a second. So this is something that I have been wanting. This has been something that I have been really I actually wanted to. I finished this way before the sort, but it is definitely more complicated. So this is using a very similar technique with the virtual lists. So if I go in and I want to select a category, it's going to pull up a virtual list. These are all coming from records from the categories table. So then it's the same kind of thing. They can select something and it'll change whatever goes there. So if I change it to accessories. It's going to show me all of the subcategories for the accessories. And if I go to clothing,
I was gonna ask about that with clothing. Clothing is because you have a SKU for like a design of a cloth, but then you have small, medium, and large, and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, I've got
are those
variants.
Are they? Yeah.
You
call that a variant?
You actually assign. Yep. So I've got multiple different variants you can have for a product, and then you go in, and then you can edit each variant, and each variant gets assigned its own barcode.
So each variant has its own SKU, correct? Basically.
Yep. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yep. And I've got that set up in a table of barcodes that I imported in there.
Yeah.
And then got an assigned barcode button where it takes an unassigned one and relates it.
Yeah, Tommy Delta 18 says thank you, great job, thank you for taking the time with the group. Yeah, so and I absolutely love this. Okay, I just have to play like daddy, and I have to force the people to justify what they're doing because that's part of the thing, right? So if I don't do that, then it doesn't make you any better. So always remember when you're going to present or you're going to pitch something, you want to make the case of why it's relevant and why we care. Kyle Williams says,
I'll definitely be reaching out to you guys at some point with that select that I just showed you. Hopefully we'll have another demo day like this where I can share it with you guys and have it in an add-on that looks nice and pretty.
That would be really great because we would love to play with that. That would be a good one. I just talked to Margaret about scheduling. Kyle says, when presenting very advanced techniques, it's very difficult to fit every detail into a single-hour presentation, right? We want to fit as much as possible, which is why we tend to try to go through it quickly. Sometimes it's easiest to get through the presentation and then follow up with Q&A. Yeah, Jake did a good job. Jake did a great job today.
I second that, except for as a first-time presenter. Yeah, it's got to pace yourself just right.
And it's tough. And the thing is that like for Kyle can absorb this faster. I absorb it slower. Because I end up making more videos and doing less programming, right? Which is kind of a downside of when you start to be a manager, right? Congrats, Jake. So the sample file is online. You folks can download this and play with it. Once again, if you have any positive, loving thoughts about this, you have questions about it, you want to shoot Jake an email and tell him how great he is, or send him $1 million because you think he's worthy of that. How do people send you $1 million, Jake, if they want to do that for you? Or an email?
I don't even know if I've got a way to. I've got PayPal.
Yeah, I know. Well, they would first send you an email.
No.
They would send you an email first. So what's your email they can email you at?
Well, our company is called Edimate, so it's jake.scheele@edimate.com. And our website needs a little bit of updating, but we are up on edimate.com.
Okay. Yep. So Jake. So it's Jake right here. Jake.Scheele right here. At.
Yep.
Edimate, A-T-I?
E-D.
E-D-I.
E-D-I-M-A-T-E.
.com. I can't really write with this, but that's the idea. Yep. So jake.scheele@edimate.com. Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. So tomorrow is going to be basic junior detective day. If Kyle shows up or Jake shows up, I will just like hit the little button that ejects you out of Discord. So yes, tomorrow's only for people who barely can use FileMaker. That's not true, but you get the idea. People are doing scripting and have never done PSOS. Tomorrow is your PSOS for Beginners Day. It was suggested to me by people who submitted saying, hey, Nick does PSOS, but I'm blown away. It's too much. How do we do PSOS for beginners? And how do we do the wrapper code that allows it to optionally execute on PSOS if it's available, right? So we want to have that conversation tomorrow. It'll be a fun one, okay? Kyle, Ken, anything else? Jake, anything else? Christian, anything else? That it?
I think we covered everything. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been awesome. It's been really cool being on the other side of the camera for once.
It's also demanding. I'm such a demanding guy. I want you to justify what you do. Explain it to me. Tell me why.
If Richard's not happy, no one's happy.
Well, I just, because listen, when I go to Apple and Claris and I say things, they make me jump through hoops and justify what I'm saying with finance. They would actually, if I gave this to them, they would want me to explain to them how much money it would save them if they did this and how much more customers that would buy product because of this. So if you think this justification's hard, you got to try and pitch in this stuff at Apple, right? All right. So it'd be like, crazy complex. All right, good.
Yeah, I'll let you stick to that, and I'll keep my job.
All right, folks. I appreciate it. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected. The quarterback, great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Try to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.